Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode number 4 in our series, Quickly Refuting Internet Atheists and Theists. In today's video, we're going to be discussing whether atheists are guilty of the argument from ignorance fallacy. And let's get right into the post where this comes from. This is from I think it's a girl named Maya, and she says this: atheist. Now, of course, they have a caricature of atheist here, and you'll find this as a typical type of caricature of each other. You'll find theists doing this and atheists doing this. It's really counterproductive, but there is a grain of truth in this particular meme, and it goes like this: atheists, God does not exist. Atheists, because theists have no evidence. Logic, atheist fallacy, argument from ignorance. And she goes on to say, Amaya D. Othens, and goes on to say, the statement that God does not exist because theists have no evidence is a logical fallacy called an argument from ignorance, also known as an appeal to ignorance, because it assumes something is false simply because no evidence has been presented to prove it true. In this case, it wrongly concludes that God doesn't exist just because no definitive proof has been shown to support his existence. Now, generally, I would say that is true. That is an argument from ignorance. So, what is the point of bringing this up? Well, I personally have come across a lot of atheists that use this argument quite often. So, this isn't an inappropriate comment to give a caricature or a characterization, I should say, not the caricature. They're wrong about the caricature, characterizing someone with the ugly pictures and so forth. That's wrong. But as far as the general characterization that atheists, at least on the internet, use this, is very true. At least in my limited time on the internet, and I have a new channel here, relatively new, and I do this part-time. But I would say I haven't met one atheist yet in the many that I've met here and on Facebook. Maybe one or two. I should take that back. Well, let me make the statement. First of all, I haven't met hardly any. How's that? Atheists who will come out and say, yes, we need to give affirmative proof for what we believe too. So generally speaking, that is my experience. You can call it a limited sample, if you will. But anyway, let's go to AI, because AI gives a fairly sympathetic twist or meaning to application to atheists. So let's take a look at that here. And I'll end on this. Now, if you look at this, this is an AI overview. And AI typically tends to be left-leaning, liberal-leaning, but they often put out good stuff. And it says here, no, atheism itself is not considered an argument from ignorance fallacy. Simply stating that one does not believe in a God based on a lack of evidence is not a logical fallacy, as the burden of proof lies with the person claiming the existence of a deity. Now, this is where it gets nuanced, very nuanced. But let's go to the very end, and I will tell you what degree I think atheists aren't making this argument and what degree they are. Misrepresenting atheist claims. This is AI again. Sometimes people might incorrectly claim that an atheist is saying God doesn't exist because there's no proof, which would be an argument from ignorance. Now, catch that now. For you, my atheist friends out there and agnostic friends, this is saying that would be an argument from existence. If you're saying God doesn't exist because there's no proof, if that is your sole claim, your sole basis for believing what you believe, you definitely are making that argument. So, but it goes on to say, but most atheists rather, would argue that the burden of proof lies with those claiming the existence of a deity. Now, I question whether this is true as far as most atheists. In the past, yes. In the present, no. But here, let's deal with this statement in and of itself. I agree that the burden of proof lies, now the affirmative burden of proof. I'm going to get into a separate video what it means to give affirmative evidence for a truth proposition and to give negative evidence. I want to keep this thing close to 5 minutes, so I'm not going to get into that now. There will be a video coming soon related to this. Now, the burden of proof lies with those claiming the existence of a deity. I would agree. The burden of proof does lie with us theists to prove that God, a supernatural being, is the reason there is something rather than nothing. However, and this is a big caveat, the burden of proof also lies on the atheistic naturalist who says that they posit that naturalistic explanations are the reason why there's something rather than nothing. If you state that, if you believe that, you need to give affirmative proof for that also. And that's what the difference is. We theists, most theists that I know of, believe we do need to give affirmative proofs for there being a God responsible for creation of the universe, creation of intelligent life. But I have yet to meet an atheist on this YouTube channel who agrees that atheists have the burden of proof to give affirmative arguments for atheism, for naturalism, for naturalistic explanations for why there is something rather than nothing. Pure and simple. So, are atheists guilty of the argument from ignorance? Yes and no. You have to answer that question for yourself. Do you make the argument that I just spelled out there, that we just spelled out, that even AI said is an argument from ignorance? Is that your sole basis for believing what you believe, for why you're an atheist? Some people come out here and specifically state that. So I know there are atheists who do use this. And there are theists who do use the argument for ignorance for theism, right? If you just simply say, well, because naturalistic explanations can't explain something, therefore God exists, that would be an argument from ignorance. Now it gets very nuanced, but I have to leave it at that for now. So thanks for listening. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please comment, negative, positive, good, bad, and ugly. I try to respond to them all. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and pass this channel on to others. We would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.